What is up, guys? It's Dylan and I'm back with another Amazon video, and this video is going to be a sequel to the last video I made where I talked about some of the things that I hate about working at an Amazon warehouse. So yeah, I'm going to be giving some of my thoughts and opinions about a few things that I've noticed and come to really dislike about working at Amazon. But of course, as I learned from hundreds of y'all's comments, each Amazon location does vary a bit. So something that I mentioned about my location may or may not apply to yours. And if that's the case, let us know in the comments. Or if you agree/disagree with anything that I say, let me know down there as well. I read and respond to every response that I get, so feel free to speak your mind. And maybe, just maybe, someone of upper status from Amazon might come across our responses and something might change. But before I start talking about the things that I hate about working at Amazon, as promised in the last video, I have chosen two winners for the two $25 Amazon gift cards, and they will be announced towards the end of the video, so make sure you stick around for that. But with that being said, here are some of the things that I hate about working at an Amazon warehouse. Alright, so one of the things that I hate the most about working at an Amazon warehouse is, as repetitive and as simple as the job is, you are not allowed to listen to music. And a lot of y'all already know this if you're a current or a former Amazon employee, but for me, having worked there for 3 months now, I think it's a policy that should definitely be reconsidered. As a stower, all I'm doing on a daily basis is taking items and putting them onto pods. Anywhere from 300 to 400 items per hour. And I know for a fact, if I was able to listen to music while I was doing this, not only would I enjoy the shift more, but I'll also probably be more productive. I could get into a rhythm and it would just overall help me get through the long 12-hour shifts. But I know the policy is probably in place for safety reasons, but I think Amazon should make it so that we can at least have one earbud in while we're working. That way we can hear scanner beeps, any fire alarms, or people talking to you, and still be able to somewhat enjoy the job. And I honestly think that there won't be any sort of safety issues if we're using like one earbud to listen to music while we work. Because if you watch my other video where I show myself working inside the building, I indicated how I choose to listen to music with wireless earbuds and a mask over my ears, just because I personally cannot bear to stand in one spot for 12 hours just watching a pod roll around the floor carrying shelves. And it's been 3 months now since I started. I still do the same thing every day, and I cannot say I've ever felt like my safety was at risk while listening to music while I'm storing like phone cases on the shelves. And if earbuds is against some sort of federal health/safety regulation, then I think a good solution would have some sort of music speaker nearby or built into each of our stations that we can each access. But that's just my opinion as far as music goes. If you guys have any other ideas or solutions to this, comment them down below. Because I know some of y'all have commented that other jobs allow you to listen to music while on the clock, but Amazon does not, and I hate it so much. Alright, so another thing that I hate about working at an Amazon warehouse is a lot of people view this job as quote-unquote modern day slavery. And this title doesn't just come from the ones who actually work this job and know what the job is really about, but it's also often heard from the outside looking in perspective. And whether the phrase is an accurate representation or not doesn't really matter, because either way, the title modern day slavery has a negative connotation tied to it, and it just doesn't sit right, at least in my mind. And it's not like a lot of people who work at Amazon are doing it just as a side job for supplemental income. I think a lot of people who work at Amazon use this job as a primary source to pay bills. So when you start to bring in the title of slave labor into the mix, then to me it sounds like tens of thousands of workers across the country are working as a full-time slave just to make a living. And I know some of y'all won't care about this as much as others do, but honestly I hate being viewed this way, but it's something that I and others will have to accept and deal with when taking this job. So yeah, this modern day slavery title is one of the biggest things that I hate about working at an Amazon warehouse. So another thing that I hate about working at an Amazon warehouse is, yeah, you get breaks, some are not paid and some are paid, and that's nice. But what's not nice is half of your breaks is really just you walking to the break room and back. And what I mean by this is, for a 10-hour shift, you will get 2 30-minute breaks, at least at my location. And if you're a stower/picker, they expect you to work up until the very last minute before your break starts. So say for example, you break at 9:30 p.m. They expect you to be working up until 9:30 p.m. and be back working at 10 p.m. And if your station is on an upper level section on the other side of the warehouse like mine typically is, then you're going to be doing a lot of walking. And I know this isn't Amazon's fault entirely. I know they need a big warehouse for all of their products, so a lot of walking is going to be there no matter what. And if you watch my day in the life at Amazon video, you can see just how much walking you'll be doing. And for me, it takes about 7 to 8 minutes to get from my stowing station to my car, which is where I usually take my breaks. And then to go back, it takes another 7 to 8 minutes of walking to get back to my station. And if I chose to walk to the break room instead of my car, it would still be about a 6 to 7 minute walk at least. So for me, when I have a 30-minute break, I'm really having to walk for 15 of those minutes. And that means I'm really only able to sit down and rest my legs and eat whatever food that I have for only about 15 minutes before I have to head back inside. And if you work the 12-hour shifts like me, you're actually gifted an additional 15-minute paid break. And one time I made the poor decision to use this 15-minute break to walk to my car and sit there for a while. And so when I got there, I was really only able to listen to like one song on Spotify before I had to leave my car and go back inside. So yeah, I learned my lesson after that mistake. Now I just sit on the step-up ladder for my 15-minute breaks. But despite the long walks, every day I still see people decide to take the long walk down to the break room during the 15-minute breaks. And I still don't understand why they really choose to do that, because you get maybe 3 to 4 minutes of downtime inside the break room for walking 12 minutes. So to me, I don't really think that's worth it. But yeah, anyone who has worked at an Amazon warehouse before can definitely relate to this struggle, and it's something that I hate having to deal with. Alright, so the last thing that I hate about working at Amazon that I wanted to talk about in this video relates to Amazon's expected rates and how they are a bit too high. And I just speak from my experience and what I've seen at my location, but every shift that I work at about the halfway point, Amazon gives us like this performance sheet, and this sheet has a list of names of all the employees that are working the same shift that I'm on, and it shows like all of their productivity numbers. And the way it works is that Amazon records each employee's productivity on the paper by using a percentage, and it lists the names out in order from most to least efficient. So ideally you want to be at 100% or at the top of the page. This means that you're meeting Amazon's expected rates, and then anything below 100% means that you are not achieving the expected rates. And for me, I don't really have an issue at meeting whatever number Amazon wants you to be at, so the percentage next to my name is usually over 100%. Typically, I hover at about 100 to 114%, but I always notice that collectively as a building, the majority of employees do not reach the 100% mark. And when I say the majority, I mean 75 to 80% of the names on that paper are below 100%. And it's not just one day that 75% of the workers aren't at 100%, but it's always day in and day out. And obviously Amazon cannot afford to fire all 75% of the workers who cannot get to this 100%. So all they do is write some note at the top of the page saying like names under 70%, please increase rate. So to me as a worker, all I'm seeing is that most of us cannot get to 100%. So why is the expected rate still so high? The way I see it, if only 25% of us can actually get to your number, just lower the number. I think it's as simple as that. Stop trying to set unachievable rates just to try to get us to work harder. I mean, it's smart, I guess, until you're actually stressing out about not being able to reach the rate, only to realize that 75% of the building also didn't achieve the rate. So yeah, I think it's an overall sneaky tactic that Amazon uses, and I hate how they just don't lower their expectations. Alright guys, so that does it for all the things that I hate about working at an Amazon warehouse. If you didn't watch part 1, you can click somewhere up here. I talk about some of the other things that I hate and think should change at Amazon, so I think it's worth a watch. But yeah, if you agree/disagree with anything that I said, or if you have any interesting stories while working at Amazon, let us all know in the comment section below. I read all the comments, so feel free to say anything that you want. Alright, so now what some of y'all been waiting for, the giveaway winners. So as promised in the last video, I've chosen 2 winners for the giveaway, and to help me show you guys who won, I decided to make a simple program using C++ software, just so I can brush up on some of my skills that I learned this year before going back to college in August. It's a bit nerdy, so if you don't want to hear the explanation of how the program works, skip over to this time in the video to see who won. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is me using some website. No, I didn't make this website. It's just a tool that I'm using to help me choose 2 numbers between 5 and 145, where the numbers of 5 through 145 represent all of the people who entered the giveaway. And it starts at 5 because the program that I wrote actually read in data off a Google Excel sheet that was synced to the Google survey y'all filled out for the giveaway. And if you have used a spreadsheet in the past, you'll know that the first row is the name of all the columns, and the next 3 rows in the sheet that I used were just me testing it out to see if it works or not. Therefore, the giveaway entries from you guys officially started on the 5th row, and then 140 people entered during the time it was open. So I wrote this program to connect to the Excel sheet, and depending on whichever random number that I inputted into the program, it corresponded to that entry on the sheet, and then would then output that person's first and last name. And I had to use this random number generator website instead of me making a program to generate myself a random number, because if you know anything about computers, you'll know that randomly generated numbers aren't actually random. random. They're actually generated based on a specific seed. So unless I kept reseeding my program every time I ran it, I was gonna continue to get the same random number. But yeah, with that nerd talk out of the way, as y'all can probably see on the screen, the two winners are Marco Contreras and Ankit Magar. And sorry if I pronounced either of those names wrong. So congratulations Marco and Ankit, you both won the channel's first ever giveaway. Right after this video goes live, I'm gonna be contacting you guys through the emails y'all provided, so check your emails. And if you didn't win, don't worry, I will definitely be doing more giveaways soon. So be sure to be on the lookout for those. But yeah, after reading through a lot of your guys' messages in the survey, it looks like a lot of y'all wanted to know a little bit more about me. So I was thinking of setting up a possible Q&A video in the future, but I'd only do it if you guys really wanted to see that. So if you do, make sure to let me know in the comment section below. But yeah, that about does it for this video. If you haven't seen my other Amazon videos already, click over here. I think they're really useful for upcoming, new, or even current Amazon employees. And click right over here to subscribe if you haven't already. Congratulations again, Marco and Ankit. Check your emails, and I'll see you guys later.